Real quick, before this video starts, I made a Google Doc where I'll be posting all of these references so I have them in one place and you can access them if you want. The link is here on the screen and also in the description in case you're normal and don't want to have to type that all out, so yeah. On to the video! Hello and welcome back to Literal Actual Hell. I want to start off by saying that this video is not intended to promote racism or spread harmful stereotypes. This may be a surprise to you considering all my annoying liberal ramblings on my community tab, but I'm actually not racist. This isn't meant to be an anti-Asian hate conspiracy theory video disguised as a video about bald flag. And what I'm talking about in terms of China's personality is a reflection of the present-day Chinese government, which I might remind you is a borderline fascist dictatorship despite the promotion of communism on the surface that ran college students over with tanks that one time. So with that out of the way, let's get into this video that's really just me ranting about the Chinese Communist Party for several minutes straight. China has a bit of a split personality. On one hand, he can be very calm and stoic, but on the other hand, he can be very controlling. We'll talk about how all that turns out later. He is very good at being intimidating and is usually passive-aggressive towards everybody except his closest friends. His closest friend and ally by far is North Korea. They get along very well while nobody else likes them, and it's just kind of China and North Korea versus the world. But no homo, right? Right? Look, I'm not gonna pretend that I don't ship this. These two extremely homophobic countries are gay for each other, and that's final. You're not allowed to have a different opinion. That was a joke in case you couldn't tell, by the way. Ship whatever you want. I don't care. I just started this video and it's already a mess, but let's go back on track. China finds most other countries pretty annoying. He basically just hates everybody he doesn't get along with, and he doesn't get along with about 90% of the world. He's made himself lots of enemies through this, and since he has such an extensive list of rivals, we'll just go through the biggest ones. He hates Japan with a burning passion. Same goes for India. He hates them as much as I hate the Portuguese flag. Seriously, this thing is fucking ugly. Red and green do not go together. This is like basic fucking knowledge. Holy shit! Sorry about that. But, yeah, he also really doesn't like America, and it's mutual. Seeing as he hates everybody, I don't feel the need to get into his relationship with everybody he hates, so I'm just gonna talk about history now because my brain is so massive, and I'm a self-proclaimed history expert who knows everything. That was sarcasm. I don't have a PhD in Chinese history, so forgive me if I forgot anything really important because that's bound to happen given the fact that I'm an idiot. My headcanon is that China came into power after he overthrew his father, the Qing dynasty, in 1911, and before everyone gets mad at me, that is how you pronounce it. This word right here on screen is pronounced Qing. I am clarifying this because when I was in 6th grade we were talking about ancient China and someone mentioned the Qing dynasty, only to get their throat torn out by some ultra-woke 11-year-old who thought that they were making one of those dumb Ching-chong jokes. I'm sorry if I sound redundant by now with all the disclaimers, but I feel like I need to approach this country very delicately with everything that's happening in the world. In traditional Countryhumans fashion, he murdered his father and then took power. And also Taiwan is his brother, so everything is going just great, and then Imperial Japan comes along and stages an incident where a train blows up. This was also right after the 1931 China flood, so you can imagine that he was in no way ready to handle this. She took Manchuria and bombed Shanghai a few times, but then she stops. Yeah, she spends a little time for herself. Little did China know that this was not the worst to come. In 1937, Imperial Japan began attacking China once again, and I don't think I'm gonna talk about what happened in Nanking because it makes me incredibly disappointed in humanity and fills me with disgust. Violent war crimes aside, China would eventually get some help when in 1941 Imperial Japan did a bad thing. You know, she mostly does bad things, but it was a bad thing that kind of got America involved. But yeah, suddenly he has a friend. Actually, he has several more friends, and one of those friends is going to be very influential. That's right, gamers, the Soviet Union has come into China's story, and he's not dying for a while, so let's see how that turns out. Japan surrenders after her mother is put out of commission by America dropping some extinction eggs on her. He regains control of Taiwan and his brother is happy not to be in the claws of such a crazy bitch anymore, but then China's like, oh, look, communism! And he's not into that shit. So he declares his independence and China's pretty pissed about that. But anyways, the Korean War starts. By the way, the Korean Empire got killed by Imperial Japan and her children are North and South Korea. But yeah, the war starts and China's like, ooh, that seems cool. So he gets involved briefly and then it stops, so like, epic. He also annexes Tibet like a freaking jerk and takes her land, and the Soviet Union is a little bit unsettled by this, but he doesn't say anything yet, and they remain friends. For now. In 1953, he launches his first 5-year plan with the help of none other than the Soviet Union, and it's at this point where he just completely falls out with America. He gets paranoid about his opposition, and anyone who criticizes him mysteriously disappears, so, that's pretty lucky. After his first 5-year plan, he introduces the Great Leap Forward, where he industrializes the country, but it also causes a famine that killed millions of people, so good job taking after your old friend. Speaking of your old friend, the Soviet Union is not too happy about this. Then the Tibetan uprising happens, in which he absolutely crushes a rebellion and kills a bunch of people, and once again, Soviet is starting to realize that he might not be a great friend. On his end, he's kind of been trying to be a bit better for the last few years. Mind you, this doesn't redeem him, and he's still a pretty shitty person, but he's grown enough as a person to the extent where he understands that sometimes killing people for no reason is wrong. China notices his weird behavior and confronts him about it. Also, I wrote a little thing, which is very dumb, and I'm embarrassed to read it, but I'm going to anyways. It's about the Sino-Soviet split, and it's actually from the Soviet Union's point of view, because I wrote this a while ago without the intent to ever put it in a video, but who cares, I'm reading it anyway. I don't understand you, China said coldly. You want to make yourself seem so powerful, but you're too scared to throw a punch. The Soviet Union looked at him incredulously. Maintaining peace with the West doesn't mean I'm too scared. It's revisionism. You're doubling back on your own ideals and redacting elements of your history because you feel guilty. It makes you look weak. He narrowed his eyes. What I choose to do is none of your business. At least I can admit when I've done something wrong. I've done nothing wrong, China argued, making the larger country snort. He ignored his amusement. And even if I had, you've done all the same things. Is this about Tibet? He asked, trying to change the subject. It's about your negligence to your political authority, and your tolerance for our enemies. Soviet frowned. I don't understand what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Your geopolitical policies are unrealistic and reckless. I don't think you understand the implications of nuclear war. China huffed angrily. I absolutely understand the implications. No, you don't. I'm finished arguing with you now. Let's talk about something else. He interrupted him. No, I'm done. You're weak, and at this point I have reason to believe that you are a threat to my national security. Your national security? He scoffed. You must be joking. I'm serious. Your interpretation of your own principles is backwards, and I won't let myself be compromised by your reforms, he told him. China, we're severing relations. Soviet stopped and stared at him blankly for a moment. Fine, he snapped after a few seconds. I don't care. Spoiler alert, he kind of cared, but we'll get into that in his video. His video is going to be like an hour long, I swear to God. I need to find a way to condense all of that. But yeah, they're no longer friends, which sucks for them, I guess. China goes to war with India for a bit, tests some nuclear weapons, and then he decides that culture is dumb and burns all of it. He launches a satellite and normalizes relations with America again, so that's fun. The Sino-Vietnamese War is a whole thing, and China kind of gets his ass kicked a little bit, but, both of them tell everybody else that they won, so there's some skewed perspective there. Britain makes a deal with China and hands Hong Kong over to him, and she's understandably kind of pissed after all the shit China's done. Then in 1989, the Tiananmen Square protests happen and thousands of innocent people are brutally murdered, but he says that it's fake news, and he's obviously a very trustworthy person, so we should all believe him. That was heavy sarcasm, in case you couldn't tell. It was around this time that he began to warm up to the Soviet Union again as their relations improved. No homo for real, no homo this time, but he dies, so who cares? Other things happen, and then suddenly he controls the entire world economy, so that's a little bit terrifying. And then COVID-19 also happened, which he completely ignored until it was way too late to stop it because he's an arrogant prick. I feel like somebody's gonna call me racist for saying that, but it's literally a fact that the Chinese government did this. I'm not blaming the Chinese people, they did nothing wrong. It's just the Chinese government that has zero respect for human life, and in turn ignored a crisis until it screwed everyone over completely. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I'm gonna go stare at a wall for a few hours.